So the other day I got to witness something totally beautiful that happened the other night. A few days ago we had a large geometric storm, which is basically a solar flare come off the sun. Now that's what gives you your northern lights. Now, being 55 years old, this is the first time I've ever seen the northern lights living here in New England. And when I lived down south, the northern lights never got down there. With this geometric storm, it was so powerful that not only did it give New England the northern lights could be seen all the way far down as Texas and Florida. Now, these are not the northern lights that you would see over, let's say, Alaska or Greenland or Iceland that actually dance through the sky. This is more or less just a light show where the sky was glowing different colors, or you saw streaks in the sky. So one of the problems that I ran into is I went out on the first night to photograph these. Unfortunately, the town that I live in has a lot of light pollution. So being able to see the northern lights, you really had to find a dark spot and wide open. And unfortunately, in my town, that just does not happen. There's really no really good area for that. So what I was actually able to capture was the northern lights from a dark location, but I really did not have that wide panoramic view that I was hoping to have. But before I get into the actual photographs that I shot, I want to go over some tips for shooting these lights. Now, I went out the first night. Second night I did not go out because I went saltwater fishing that morning. I didn't know that I was going to have a second chance at the lights. And by the time it rolled around, I was just too tired. I was going to go the third night, which was our last chance, but unfortunately we had rain and cloud cover, so I only got the one night to photograph it, and I am glad I did go out. I am truly, truly glad. So if you ever have a chance to photograph the northern lights, they say this is going to be a very busy year for solar flares or geometric storms. I think the next one we got coming up is May 15th, and then they're predicting more and more. And my notifications are going off like crazy as I'm trying to bring up my notes. So here are the tips, and I'm gonna be reading from my phone here because I've made some notes as I was going through and actually shooting these, and also the day afterwards, so I could give tips to other people who are actually going out and photographing them. So first thing you want to do is get out your winter clothing because it's supposed to be cold again tonight. When I was shooting these northern lights, the temperatures had gotten down into the upper 30s, low 40s, and we had a breeze. Typically, your northern lights are best viewed in the winter time. And especially if you're traveling like across Alaska, Iceland, Norway, where Greenland, where these lights are prevalent, it's going to be cold temperatures, so you're going to need winter clothing. During the summertime, it's harder to see the northern lights because with the temperatures being so warm, our atmosphere will hold in more of the pollutants and the carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So you really want to have a cold night where the atmosphere will be cleaner. You also want to get somewhere where it's totally dark with little to no pollution from town, and preferably a place with a lot of open space, especially if you want to get the wide panoramic. That's the problem that I ran into. I did not have a place that was totally dark and wide panoramic. It was either or, and I chose a spot that was totally dark so that I could see it more. Prepare to stay out for 2 to 3 hours or more as it comes in waves and it's not a constant glow. Look towards the north. So your northern lights are always going to come in from the northern part of the sky. Okay, so where was I before my camera decided to shut down on me. Let's see, you want to look towards the north because that's where the lights actually come from. They'll come from the north, not really any other direction. Now, when the wave comes, these are going to come in waves. The sky is not going to stay a constant color unless you're like more in, like, let's say Alaska or whatever. These waves will last longer than what they do here in New England, and also what people were seeing down as far as Texas and Florida. That's how strong the storm was. So it'll come in waves. You will notice the sky turning red, blue, or green. It could be vivid or it could be very, very dim. Or you may just notice an odd streak in the sky. So if you're using a cell phone, you want to set your phone to night sky. This is going to automatically give you a 2 to 3 second exposure. It's just probably the easiest to use with setting your cell phone to that night sky. If you have an advanced camera like a DSLR, or I don't know too many people who shoot film. I think shooting Northern Lights with film, you've really got to know your photography. But your DSLR, you want to set it to a 2 to 3 second exposure. Or if you're more advanced, you want to use bulb mode and go for a 2 to 3 second exposure. Any more than that, you risk the photo being too bright because it's going to let in more light, especially if you have any of the slightest light pollution from town. Now, you're not going to be able to really see this with your eyes unless it's really vivid. When I was out shooting, I could tell a wave was coming, but because the sky would start glowing a pink. Now, sometimes the sky was very vivid. I mean, you could definitely tell. Other times, there was just this slight streak in the sky that I could not see really too many colors at all. And you really want to have no lights on around you. You want your eyes to be adjusted to the darkness so that you can see it. I had a problem of one of the houses next to me turn on their spotlights in their yard, and it really made it difficult until they shut their lights back off and my eyes got readjusted. So if you can get away from any houses, that would also be great. But like I said, this was so bright and vivid that a lot of people were actually seeing this in town, but it would have made photography very difficult from the light pollution. So your camera will catch the colors and the streaks of light or the rays better than your eyes will. So once you have your photographs, you want to go ahead and play around with the editing of your photo. You may have to adjust the brightness, the black points, shadows, and saturation to really bring out the colors. But you really don't want to go too far because it will totally ruin the Northern Lights. Don't use any filters like an HDR effect. That would totally ruin it, because what it's going to do is it's going to balance all the lighting around you. It's going to try to balance the colors, and you're really not going to see the effects of the Northern Lights. It's just pretty much going to be like a total wash. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the photos that I took. Now, these were after editing, because even on my phone that night, even though I could see all the streaks and effects, I had to go in and adjust the saturation to bring out the color more. I had to adjust the shadows and the brightness, so the streaks and the colors would not blend in as much. But like I said, your camera is, whether it be your phone or your DSLR, is going to see the Northern Lights a lot better than what your eyes would. Your eyes are basically a guide point to say, oh yeah, there's some sort of change in the sky that's happening there. Get your camera up, 2 to 3 second exposure, or if you have an advanced DSLR and you know your photography, you can try to play around more with that, but you risk getting a way too much light in and becoming too bright and just washing out those colors. So these are the photos, so I hope you enjoy them. Like I said, they're predicting this to be a strong year with the solar flares. I'm not saying we're going to have the geometric storm that we had, or the solar flare that we had the past few days of the weekend of May 10th through May 11th, because that was super strong. It's really unheard of to see the northern lights as far south as Texas and Florida, and it was all over the news. Also, the other thing is, a lot of people were out photographing at different times of the night. Some people had their photographs in time lapse that caught the northern lights, like right before dawn and as it was transitioning into a sunrise. But where I was located, not only did I not stay out that long because I was getting cold even with a winter jacket on because of the wind, my area, it seemed to be the best I could view it, and the more frequent waves was between 10 o'clock at night and midnight. Anything after that, the waves were further apart and they didn't seem to be intense. Some people said like around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning it picked up more, and just before sunrise it picked up more. But when I went out at 10 o'clock at night, the waves started coming like I'd say every minute to every 3 to 5 minutes. Before 10 o'clock at night, there was absolutely nothing. It really started at 10 o'clock at night. And then as it got closer to midnight, the waves started being more spaced out, like every 10 minutes to every 15 minutes. And then I waited around a little bit longer, and one of the waves was actually a half an hour after the last one, and it wasn't as bright. So, and a lot of people with this past storm was saying the same thing. And for all 3 nights, some people were able to get out on the 3rd night. I had cloud in my areas and rain, so I couldn't actually see anything, but the people who did all said the same thing. The best show was between 10 o'clock at night and about 1 o'clock in the morning. Those who caught the 3 o'clock to sunrise time lapses, the color was not as bright or as intense, but it was still beautiful. They still caught something. So here are my photos, and I hope you like them. I hope you actually take some notes on the tips, because it's going to be a very strong year. Hopefully we actually see the dancing lights, but that's kind of unheard of. Most of the time we'll just see the glow. So here are my photos, and I'll see you in the next video.